Today we are going to talk about education. To me, education is the methodical spread of knowledge. The systematic spread of knowledge gained momentum during the Islamic civilization. People wanted to study mainly the Quran, and they usually gather or sit at the feet of knowledgeable people who would try to explain to them the religion. But it was not very systematic. Nevertheless, it grew, and as a result, the Al-Azhar University was started from the madrasa in Cairo. That started off the concept of higher education in a systematic fashion. The idea of the systematic spread of knowledge caught on, and it was felt that the best time to teach would be when people were young, when the old people among us, including myself, tried to play around with the computer. Old people take a long time to learn, but the young people, whether they are brilliant or not, somehow or other seems to relate themselves to the computer, and they use the computer very, very fast. So when education became something that is recognized as important in the development of a child for the future, education became very systematic and improved all the time. The schools improved, the methods of teaching improved, the number of subjects improved, and as the child grows older and moves into the secondary and tertiary, he begins to learn more about less. You know, doctors, they become specialists. How do they become specialists? First, they learn generally about medicine, and then they decided to study one part of the human body or one discipline, and then from that discipline there is a special section of that discipline which requires further learning. Now, if you follow this to the nth degree, what will happen is that these specialist doctors would learn more and more about less and less until they came to the stage where they will know a lot about nothing. But we think it is useful. Of course, now we have come to the stage when the amount of knowledge available is too big for us to learn all. So even at a young age, you may have to specialize. But that does not matter, because there are other people specializing in other areas. So within the society, there would be people knowledgeable about all kinds of subjects. It will be a tragedy if we all want to study only one subject. Supposing all of us wants to study law, imagine what kind of a world would be if all the people in this room are lawyers. It will be a great disaster. My apologies to those people who are trained as lawyers. But what I'm trying to say is that we have to divide ourselves to study different fields. So, as you know, in this country, everyone wants to study medicine, or rather every Indian wants to study medicine. But a lot of Indians want to become doctors. You go anywhere in the world. I went to Ukraine, there were Indian students studying medicine, and then I went to Trinidad, there were Indian medical students. I went to Bali, yes, there were Indian medical students. So I think there should be also among the Indians some division of labor. If you don't get a place to do medicine, do something else. There are some people who would like to study religion. But if in this country we have only religious people, everybody is capable of becoming the imam, who is going to be the ma'mum? There will be nobody behind the imam. So some people study religion and study it well, but other people, I think, should focus on other things which are equally important for the society. So there will be specialists in many areas. It is important, therefore, that we recognize the needs of society and we provide education to meet the needs of society. And society needs a lot of people who are trained in different fields. We know there are primitive people in this world, but they have certain skills which we don't have. Their skills are related to their way of life. For example, if you ask a Perdana to use his blowpipe to bring a monkey down, he can do that very easily. So our skills are different. Whatever you do, if you do it often enough, you're going to be very skillful. Now, when I went to the medical college, I was among those with the least qualification. All the other boys, they all went to medical college with at least 6 distinctions, 6, 7, 8 distinctions. They're all brilliant. I had only 3 distinctions, and that was the highest among the Malay boys. In a small pond, you feel big, but when you enlarge the pond, you feel you're small. You see, so among the Malays, I was the best. But when mixed up with all these Chinese and Indian boys, I felt very small indeed. So because of my consciousness that I was not up to the mark, I had to adopt certain strategies. One of them was to really concentrate and read again and again and again. I remember when I took my pathology examination, I read the path book I don't know how many times, so much so when I was answering the question, I could actually see the page that was relevant to that question. I could practically read the page and see the illustration. So it was easy for me just to extract from what I see. If you are prepared to do things repeatedly, do it again and again and again, inshallah, you will become as good as anybody else. This I believe because that is what happened to me, and that's how I got through my exam. This also is what I have observed. I assume that all of us want to progress. We want to be better than what we are now. We want to be as good as what other people more advanced than us are. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that in Malaysia, we can all do much better than we are doing now. Whether you are Malay, Chinese or Indian, the main thing is the drive, the dedication, the desire to do it. And if you have to repeat a thing 1,000 times, you must be prepared to repeat. We want to become, by the year 2020, a developed nation. Obviously, if you want to become a developed nation, you must have the ability, you must have the capacity and knowledge which you acquire through a systematic education will contribute towards that capability.